Hi, from Nicole Toscano. We are in NAB show in Blackmagic stand. I'm here with Stuart. Hi, Stuart.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a busy day, but we're all good.
Pretty hectic, I would say. Okay, so tell us more about the general news of Blackmagic design for this year's NAB show.
There's some very, very exciting announcements for us at NAB, both in the live production area and also in the post-production area. Firstly, with live production, we've announced this fantastic new switcher, which is the ATEM Television Studio Pro. And then on the post-production side, we've announced a new version of Resolve 14, with some incredible features. And then there's a few other small bits as well, which I can talk you through, obviously, in more detail.
Okay, thank you. And referring broadcast, which is the first area, tell us more about this year's new.
Yeah, so with the broadcast market, we are getting a lot of interest around our ATEM switches. I think what is really interesting is what sort of broadcast people are looking to do, because it's not just about the large broadcast TV channels, it's also about people that are broadcasting to the internet. People like people who are sending video out to YouTube Live and Facebook Live. These are still broadcast channels. It's just not necessarily in the traditional manner that we would usually see. So this is where products like this really become a great product to use, because this all-in-one solution allows you to switch multiple video types and in a very compact form, with access to all the functions and functionality with one button click, but then delivering high-quality video out through a source that could pass through, say, our web presenter, which is a product we announced only a few months ago, to be uploaded to the internet.
Okay, good to know. And what about cinema, the second area?
Yeah, so obviously with our cinema-based products, we have things like the Ursa Mini Pro, which is a camera that we announced a month or two ago. That has had a new feature added to it, which is Bluetooth connectivity. So you can now actually control the functions of the camera via a Blackmagic designed app connected via Bluetooth. And in addition to that, we've also made this phenomenal announcement around Resolve 14, which has three very important things. The first being an increased level of performance, which means we are now getting 10 times the performance that we were getting before. The second being is that we have collaborative workflows, which means that multiple people now can work with the same clips on different timelines or the same timeline, where we can work together. So you could be editing, I could be doing color correction, and then we can share all that footage, and then we can accept those changes with a flick of one switch. And then the third part of that is that we've now integrated Fairlight, which is broadcast audio and cinematic audio, into a new tab, a Fairlight tab, which is at the bottom of the Resolve 14 page. And that now opens up a whole load of new opportunity for you when you're now editing and working with your audio files.
Okay, this is, well, audio is the great 2017 new about Blackmagic design.
Yeah, well, Fairlight was an acquisition that we made last year, and people were trying to understand where we would put Fairlight, how we would utilize Fairlight. But I think that what people have noticed now is that in a very short space of time, we've opened up people's imagination now and given them something that is incredibly exciting at no additional cost. So existing Blackmagic Resolve customers now can effectively get all that audio for free. If you're a new customer, there's also a great announcement in that we've reduced the price of DaVinci Resolve. So it was $995. It's now down to $299. So now you can get effectively 3 licenses for the price of 1 license before.
That's fantastic. What do you think is the new, the vision of the future for Blackmagic design, just right in the next future?
It's very difficult to say, because we are working in a number of different areas at the moment. We're certainly seeing an increased demand on internet broadcast, so people who are putting high quality video onto things like YouTube Live. So that's an interesting area for us. We're also seeing that our cameras are taking a life of their own in that we're seeing them being used in cinema production, seeing them being used in broadcast production. So we have to stay open-minded, and we have to make sure that we facilitate as many of these customers as possible. And then you look at DaVinci Resolve, and this is a product that over the course of the last 6 years has got a phenomenal amount of people that are using it, and that's from simple editing through to high-end color correction, and obviously now with audio we hope to really entice those high-end audio guys as well.
Can you show us more about this project and then the function of it, a little demonstration?
Of course. What you're seeing here is a 19-inch wide unit that contains not only the control surface but also the switcher as well. You have your usual cut bus down here, which allows you to look at your program in preview. So you'll see that as I'm hitting from the bottom row of buttons, I'm loading preview, my preview images. That's all of my cameras and all of my sources coming in there. And then I have my program output here. Now, that's a very simple cut, which is what most people are familiar with when working with a live production switcher. But then we've also got in here as well different types of wipes and functions. So I can now access all of these functions by a single click of a button. If I want to do effectively a wipe, I hit this button here, I can hit a wipe, or I can hit the auto button and it will do an auto wipe. Now, then you've got to look at things like audio. So what we also have as well is full audio control on all of those on all of our cameras and all of our sources. These can be controlled from up here. I also have on here camera controlled. So this is a full CCU. So I have the ability here to talk directly to each of my cameras. So if I have 4 SDI cameras connected to channels 5, 6, 7 and 8, I can actually select that camera and I can talk directly to the camera operator. Above here I can select any of the cameras that are being used, so I can say, okay, camera 4. And what I can do then is I can do things like primary color correction. So I can actually adjust the color correction of the camera. I can go in here as well, I can do things like auto iris the camera, I can auto focus the camera, I can adjust levels, focus control here, which means that I don't only just have access to the switcher, but I also have access to cameras. I have a small monitor here on the right-hand side, which allows me to go in there and go through a menu structure so that I can do things like transitions, I can do things like keyers, and I can also load stills into the actual media player. So if I've got a logo or if I've got maybe a name strap, I can load those stills into here, I can select the one that I want, and then I effectively load that in then as a media player. So what you're getting here for $2,295 is an entire HD high-end video production switcher that has the capability of doing the entire function. It's an incredibly ergonomic and usable, easy to use camera. We have all of the functions of the camera on individual buttons on the outside of the camera, and then we have a touchscreen monitor on the inside that allows me also to go in there and adjust any of the settings of the camera. If I go into the setup page and I scroll through the setup page, one of the things that I can then do is I can then actually set connectivity to a Bluetooth application, and then that is controllable via an iPad. I have the iPad here which controls each of these cameras. If I open up my iPad, there is an application called Camera Control. If I go into my camera control settings, this now gives me the functionality of the camera. So what I can do is I can change things like the white balance, I can change things like the frame rate, the iris settings, the shutter settings and the ISO settings. I can also put the camera into record. So if I want to record from the camera, I can do it from here. If I go into the tab down here on the right hand side, this is the metadata, this is where the slate is, which allows you to type in all of the information around the camera, whether it's a wide shot, whether it's a close-up. I can say whether it's a good clip or it's a bad clip. So now I can have a production assistant operating this to the side of the camera guy, so he's not needing to access all of this information in the camera and putting all the information in. So this is a great user-friendly tool to add to the simplicity of the camera.
Definitely, and it's more freedom for the user.
Yeah, exactly. We want to make sure that the user is as creative as possible, and by taking away maybe some of the more administrative tasks and putting them into an application so that another person can do that, it keeps the mind open and free for creativity when shooting your video.
Okay, let's talk about the new version of Resolve 14. Let's have a demo here.
Okay, so what you're seeing here is at the moment is the edit page, which is the video editing that was introduced about 12 months ago for DaVinci. This has become a very popular NLE now because it has every function that is required to do a high-end online edit. But one of the things that people asked us about was, how would you work with audio? And whilst we have some audio tools within version 12.5, what we didn't have was the high-end broadcast audio that you would see in Fairlight, which was the the company that we acquired last year. So what we have done is we've created a Fairlight tab, which is down here on the right-hand side, which means that if you click on that, you now actually open up all of the audio channels. And I can have up to 1,000 different audio channels here that I can work with in incredible detail. So I can zoom into the clip, to the waveform of the audio coming through. I can go all the way into the individual audio nodes, audio points, and I can actually adjust these very, very simply. What I've also got here, if I come back out again, is that you'll also see that I have parametric EQ. This means that I can affect all of the EQ of the audio that's being played on the track. And again, that's incredibly easy access to a very detailed element of the audio. I can change things like the frequency and the gain there. If I come back out and I zoom out a bit further, you'll also see as well I have dynamics for things like compressors and limiters, which is a key format, a tool within any audio application. And I've also got on there as well panning, so I can work within a 3D space and work with things like 5.1 surround sound, 7.1 surround sound. In addition to that, another feature that was very, very important for this application is collaborative workflows. We talked about working in how we would work, and if I'm an individual, I may want to work with all aspects of this myself, the edit, the colour, the audio, but let's say that I am just an editor and I don't do colour correction or I don't do audio. What I can then do is I can create a collaborative timeline. So if I go up into my timelines bin here and I select my timeline and I right click and I go to compare with current timeline, what this will actually demonstrate to us is two separate timelines that are being used. So this could be the timeline of my colorist. So my colorist is in there, he's doing some changes to the way things look, or this could be an assistant editor who's making changes to certain clips. On the bottom timeline, what you can see is my timeline. So this is actually shown in the two windows. On the left-hand side, you can see the timeline, which is called comparison. On the right-hand side, you can see my timeline, which is called Age of the Aeroplanes. Now, let's say that change has been made, and I want to accept that change. I can right-click down here, I can click Accept Changes, and what it will actually do is it will accept that change. So now what's happening is a fully collaborative workflow. Not only can you access and apply changes, whilst I'm doing my edit and whilst I'm making changes on my timeline, it doesn't limit the footage only to myself. It means that anybody else who's working within this project can also still access that footage and access those clips. So the important part of this is giving full accessibility but control there so that an individual can make an administrative change if needed. If I just close this down and I go across to the colour tab, this is the page that people are familiar with when doing colour correction. But there's a couple of really nice features that we've added in here. The main one here being facial refinement. If I just reset that grade, let's say that this guy needs some adjustments making to his skin or adjustments to his eyes. Maybe we've not lit him properly, or maybe there are certain things in terms of his skin that we want to smooth out. What I can actually do is I can go into my Open Effects. I can go to this tool here, which is called Face Refinement, and if I drag that on top, what will happen is that it gives me access to analyze that clip. Now, as soon as I click the Analyze clip, you watch what happens on this video. So I'm going to hit Analyze, and it automatically registers that that's somebody's face. And that now is highlighting the nose, the mouth, the eyes, the eyebrows. Now, if I go into here, and I now start to retouch this, and I deselect my overlay, so I've got rid of my overlay, what you'll instantly see is it's applied a softener to the skin. But this is fully adjustable, so I can go in here and I can change that. I can add more detail. I can add more contrast if I wanted to the face. I can do also things like eye retouching. So let's say that here you can see his eyes. I want to make them sharper. I want to make them brighter. So if I select some more sharpness in his eyes, if I make his eyes brighter, you'll see already I'm seeing enhancements there in there. There are other nice functions as well. So let's say it's like myself. He's had a late night. He's tired. He's got bags under his eyes. What I can actually do is I can go under there and I can actually remove the bags from under his eyes. Very, very powerful when doing facial recognition, when doing facial skills. So this is a new feature in Resolve 14. This is a free application to anybody that has already got Resolve. A lot of these functions are already in Resolve as well, which is the free version to download from our website. If you are wanting to buy a copy of this, it's actually been reduced in cost from $995 down to $299. So you're getting a lot more performance, a lot more features for a third of the price.
Wow, that's really interesting, and I like this new feature a lot. Really, really cool. So Stuart, now let's talk about a DaVinci Resolve Mini Painter and show us more about this product.
Okay, so this product was announced about a month and a half ago. And one of the questions that we were always asked by our customers was, when is Blackmagic going to design its own smaller panel? We've had a large panel for many years, but what we wanted to do was create two new panels that would work in different environments. So the micro panel, which is smaller than this one, is perfect for use with a laptop, a more portable solution. This panel is actually perfect for a small color grading suite, where you don't need the large color grading panel that costs 3 times, 4 times, 10 times the amount. So this product here we actually announced for $2,995. This gives you all the functionality of Resolve. So I can go in here, and as you can see, as I start to look at my highlights, I can start to work on highlights. I can bring my highlights down. There you go, I'm adding more detail in here. If I want to offset the color slightly, I can do that. If I want to work with my midtones, so you can actually see with the runway on this image there that I can increase the midtones. If I want to darken my blacks, I can darken my blacks right down. So this gives you all of the software connectivity, all of the functionality in a hardware panel. I can go in there and I can do things like I can boost the color, so I can add more color into the image. I can lift the luminance levels or drop the luminance levels of it. If I want to, I can add new nodes in here as well. I can add serial nodes, parallel nodes, layered nodes. I can obviously reverse play clips. And I can then go in and actually customize some of the other functions, things like hue. If I want to add more yellow, so you can see I'm working on the yellow, I'm changing the color of the yellow there to green. If I want to change the color of the green, I can do that. Same with the red. Let's say that I've got too much red in there and I want to take some red out to make it colder. I can do that. So this really gives you an enormous amount of control over DaVinci Resolve, and what you're seeing here is a very high quality control panel that not only controls, but you can also power a laptop from this if you've got this connected to your power. So this is a great tool. It's available. It's in stock, and if you're working within color correction and you're looking for an affordable panel on the market that gives you all of the functionality of DaVinci Resolve, then this should be something that you consider.
From Stuart Ashton and Nicole Toscano, Blackmagic Design Stand NAB 2017 for digitalproduction.tv. Bye.